Hey guys, what's up? This is going to be your virtual day assignment here. I'm going to give you until Thursday night at 11:59 to get this done. So even if you don't get it done during your virtual day, you'll have a couple days of wiggle room in there to get this watched and turned in. Remember to turn it in. Again, you watch it, that's fine, that's great. I want you to watch it, but you got to turn it in to get credit, okay? Every time. Okay, first thing we're going to look at, just to start off, we've been adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers as well. Now we're going to multiply and divide positive and negative numbers, okay? So the first thing we're going to look at is how to multiply a positive times a negative number, okay? So we've got this table here. On the left on this table, we've got all of these multiplication problems, and they're all in order here, okay? And then on the right, we're going to find their products in each case. Now remember, product is just another word for what a multiplication problem equals. Okay? So you can go ahead and fill out these first few that you know. You can pause the video here and fill it out on your own if you want. I'm going to go ahead and go through it now for time's sake. So 3 times 3, that gives you 9, right? We already know that one. We also know 3 times 2 gets you 6. We know 3 times 1 gets you 3. 3 times 0, well, anything times 0 gets you 0, okay? So I want you to look at what's going on in this table so far, okay? On the left, we're sitting here multiplying 3 times different numbers, and that second number we're multiplying by is going down by 1 each time, right? So we're taking 3 sets of 3 here, 3 sets of 2 here, 3 sets of 1 here, 3 sets of 0, okay? Well, just looking at the pattern of the product, the answer you get, you've got 9, 6, 3, 0. Well, what's happening here? You've got one less set of 3, really, right? You've got 3 sets of 3, 2 sets of 3, 1 set of 3, 0 sets of 3. You're getting one less set of 3 as you go along, okay? So then, if you continue this same pattern, what's going to happen? Well, you take 3 times negative 1. Well, now you got negative 1 set of 3, or 3 sets of negative 1. You can look at that both ways, okay? Well, what is 3 sets of negative 1? Well, 1 set of negative 1 would just be negative 1, right? 2 sets of negative 1, we got negative 1 and another negative 1. Well, that's going to get you negative 2, but we want 3 sets of negative 1. Okay, we want negative 1 plus negative 1 plus negative 1, and we get a total of negative 3. Okay, so another way to look at it, you got 3 times 1. We know 3 times 1 is 3. One of them's negative, though. So that's going to change your answer to a negative, and that's kind of the math behind it. Again, if you don't understand this stuff the first time I say it, I know it's all new stuff. That's the point of these videos. You can pause them, go back, and look at it a few times till you catch on, okay? Don't just breeze through this video, have it playing in the background or something, because you're still not going to know what's going on, okay? So, following the same pattern, we got 0 to negative 3. The next one, you're just going to know by the pattern, it's going to be negative 6 and negative 9, okay? Well, here we've got 3 sets of negative 2. Okay, so we'd have negative 2 plus another negative 2 plus another negative 2. Well, 3 sets of negative 2. Right here you get negative 4 plus another negative 2. These two you get a total of negative 6, which is what we got there. Okay, and then the next one we got 3 sets of negative 3, so you're going to have negative 9 total. Okay, again, look back on this again if you don't understand. Okay. The next one we're going to look at, so that was multiplying a positive times a negative. And any time you multiply a positive times a negative, I will tell you the rule is if you multiply a positive times a negative, you've got a positive number times a negative number. Every single time, if you noticed in that last example, you're going to get a negative answer. Okay? So I'll go ahead and list all the rules out here. We know what a positive times a positive is. That's what we've been working with our whole life up to this point. Positive times a positive gets you a positive, right? Positive times a negative gets you a negative. What if you took a negative number times a positive number? Well, you still got one of each, right? So your answer is going to be negative. Okay, now the next thing we're going to look at is the only thing left, right? A negative times a negative. Well, what do you think if you saw these patterns here? What do you think a negative number times a negative is going to get you? A negative times a negative will get you a positive number. Okay? Now we're going to look why that is. Okay, so we've got another chart here. We start with negative 3 times 3, negative 3 times 2, negative 3 times 1, negative 3 times 0, negative 3 times negative 1, negative 3 times negative 2, and negative 3 times negative 3. Okay, and again, I'm putting parentheses on this back one just to separate the negative from the multiplication sign. So we just went over this. What is negative 3 times positive 3? One's negative, one's positive, so you're going to get a negative answer. It's going to get negative 9. Negative 3 times positive 2 will get you negative 6. Negative 3 times positive 1 will get you negative 3. Anything times 0 gets you 0. Now look what's happening. Okay, this is a little different because the order over here is different. We've got negative 3 times 3, we get negative 9. And then the next one we get negative 6, negative 3 to 0. What do you notice that's going on here? Well, this time it's going up by 3 in every situation. Okay, so negative 3 times negative 1, these things we're multiplying by negative 3, they're going down 1 each time, but your answer is going up 3. Okay, so a negative times a negative, we said, is a positive. Well, this shows you why right here. Negative 3 times negative 1, it's got to be positive 3 following this pattern. So we got a pattern going here and a pattern going here. Okay, negative 3 times negative 2, that's going to get you positive 6 following this pattern. And then negative 3 times negative 3 is going to get you positive 9 following this pattern. Okay, so again, this is all new stuff. I don't expect you to just grasp it right away. Okay, you're going to have to watch it over and over again. You're going to have to see what's going on. You're going to have to actually practice it. You can't just snap your fingers and magically know what's going on, okay? Okay. So at this point, I've shown you. These are the rules again. I'll walk you through them. First one, a positive number times a positive number. So for example, that'd be 3 times 3. Well, we've always known a positive times a positive gets a positive, right? Another example, we could have a positive times a negative. Well, if they're alternating signs and they're multiplied, a positive times a negative gets you a negative. Okay? Next one, a negative times a positive. Well, there's still one of each. There's a negative and a positive. Okay, so your answer will be negative. And last one, negative times a negative. Well, you got two negatives multiplied together. We just saw that that's always going to get you a positive answer. Okay? You can pause this right here and really look at this and really digest what's going on here, okay? These are the simple rules behind multiplying positive and negative numbers, but I want you to know the why behind why it works, okay? So this next example is going to be a little bit more advanced, a little bit more complicated, showing you why a negative times a negative gets you a positive. Okay? So if you don't understand this next part, that's fine. This is like the more advanced math behind why it works, but we're going to show you anyway, just because it's good to know. You should know the why behind it. Okay? So if we had we'll use the same example, negative 3. Remember, a dot like that means times 3. Okay? Negative 3 times 3. Well, a negative times a positive gets you a negative. Your answer is going to be negative 9 here, okay? Well, another way to look at this is we could say negative 3 times 3 is the same as saying negative 3 times 5 plus negative 2. Okay? Now, you look at that and you're saying, why the heck would we do that? That's crazy. That's not very smart to do. Well, normally it's not. I'd agree with you. But this is showing you why a negative times a negative will get you a positive result. Okay? So, we know negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Okay? Just bear with me. It's going to all come together here in a second. So if we have a number outside of parentheses and we've got something going on in here, there's this thing called the distributive property if you haven't heard of it already. Most of you probably have heard of it. You just maybe don't remember what it is. Okay? So if you've got a number attached to a parentheses like this, you can distribute, you can multiply this 3 times everything inside the parentheses. Okay? So in other words, we take negative 3 times 5. And then we take negative 3 times negative 2. Okay? So, you can pause it there, think about it. Again, let this digest. Get a feel for what's going on. We're distributing this negative 3 to everything inside the parentheses. Well, what is negative 3 times positive 5? Well, we just found out a negative times a positive gets you a negative. Negative 3 times positive 5 will get you negative 15. Okay? Now, we want this to equal negative 9, right? Because we got negative 3 times 3 here. We've got negative 3 times the stuff in the parentheses will get you positive 3. 5 plus negative 2 will get you positive 3. So it's really saying negative 3 times 3 here. Okay? Negative 15 compared to negative 9. We want our answer to be negative 9. How are we going to get negative 15 to equal negative 9? What do we have to do to negative 15? Well, we've got to add what? Sit there and pause it and think about it for a second if you want. Okay, we have to take negative 15 plus positive 6. Well, what is negative 15 plus positive 6? We got negative 15 negatives, we got 6 positives, we're combining them, and we get the same thing, right? Negative 9 would equal negative 9 here. Negative 15 plus 6 is negative 9. So where did this plus 6 come from? Well, look back. We had negative 3 times positive 5, we got negative 15. The only other thing we had to do was take negative 3 times negative 2. And we get positive 6. A negative times a negative gets you a positive. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, that's showing you why the 2 negatives make a positive. Okay, now that's a lot of in-depth, really, really deep math, number sense talk. Okay, it's not going to come to you the first time. I promise you. You're going to have to rewatch this. You're going to have to think about things there. Okay, just bear with me, it'll all come together, okay? Alright, you do have we'll do 3 problems that you have to get done for me for this video. So this just shows if you watched all the way through or not, okay? I want you to answer these 3 problems for me. Alright, we have okay, so you've got these 3 problems to do for homework to prove that you watched the video, and I want you to rewrite these as multiplication problems and then solve them. Okay, so right now you've got addition problems. So you've seen in the past how to rewrite an addition problem with the same number over and over again as multiplication. I want you to do that. I want you to solve, find the answer, and turn that into me. Okay, that's it. Again, make sure you get this video turned in by Thursday night at 11:59. This is all your virtual homework you have. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have a nice couple extra days off here.